Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I am at IPC APEX EXPO 2025 and I'm joined by Chintan. Chintan, you've just been in the Leadership Summit on the panel talking about AI. I'm really curious, we've talked about it in the past and there's lots of chat about what can be done. I'm really curious what EMS leadership wants done.
Yeah, I think the EMS leadership, they're looking for pragmatic solutions that are going to help them be more competitive, right? And so a lot of the theme of the AI conversation we had earlier today at the EMS Summit was about, how do we get this implemented, right? Like what can a small business owner do to get this into their business processes and generate ROI?
Okay, and in the past, you've obviously worked in the areas that are particularly focused around the supply chain, quoting, bill of materials, that kind of thing. What do you see as the next frontiers? Where do you see that you can create a tangible project that can deliver a good ROI and good results?
Yeah, well, I'd say we're just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of the actual application of AI technology, right? So there's so many different possible use cases, and what I'd say is it's really important to recognize what is the most pressing problem you want to solve, and then evaluate whether AI is a valid tool to solving that problem. The other thing that kind of comes to mind is EMS companies get sometimes wrapped up in thinking that they're so unique that they have to look for solutions that are unique to the EMS space.
Or create their own.
Or create their own, when in fact there are some common problems that the EMS industry faces that are also faced by basically every other industry. So the example I used earlier was sales, right? If you want to do prospecting activities, then there are lots of AI-enabled sales tools out there that EMS companies that are struggling to grow their business, trying to do prospecting work, trying to build customer relationships, all of those types of things, they can use those tools to solve a problem they're facing. So I would say there's so much potential in how it's applied, and rather than thinking about it only in the context of, well, what's the EMS specific problem worth solving, think about it as, what's the problem worth solving? Whether you're an EMS or not is kind of a secondary part of that.
Yeah, so it goes back to the business solutions, and then if you are looking at business solutions, as you say, you don't need a specialist that's doing AI. If you're looking to sell, you're looking to sell, and it's
exactly
it's not that complicated. One of the things we'll see this week, if we walk around the show floor, is we'll see AI logos on everybody's booth. 10 years ago it was the same with Industry 4.0. There's always a buzzword. But one of the things I've started to wonder about is, as we look at all these AIs that people are creating, maybe for all their inspection equipment, maybe for their placement equipment, maybe for production management, how do we crowdsource all that intelligence and bring it together in one? Are we looking at kind of an agentic style of AI model that can collaborate multiple AIs?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely yet another buzzword iteration of AI, and I think there's a huge amount of potential there. I did a bunch of research into that in the last 6 months, and it seems that that's where things are going. I think OpenAI just released like the next level of their agentic framework last week as well. So a lot of potential there. Trying to bring all that data together, I think it depends on the company as well, right? So if you think about it in the context of how much data do you really have, how much do you trust that data, how, both in terms of quantity and quality, all of those things play a big role. And so from my perspective, I think that one of the things the industry needs to do is decide on how collaborative can we be to create enough volume of data to make these AIs much better than they otherwise would be. The agents are also going to be, like the agentic AI approach is also going to be valuable, but then you're back to, well, what's the mission you're going to give that AI to go independently solve, and how much agency are you going to allow it? One of the things that I would say also is, especially when you get into the manufacturing process, you cited a lot of equipment-oriented AI. I think one of the things we have to be careful of is AI is non-deterministic, and so it can approximate the right answer, but it can't guarantee it. And so I see so many cases of the buzzword being applied to solve a problem. It's if you're a hammer, everything's a nail, and sometimes you can't risk a mistake, right? And so if you're and sometimes the problem is not complex enough to justify the use of an AI. So you got to balance all of those things to find, again, what's the right tool to be used.
Yeah, and then you get into that co-pilot territory, which I think is really interesting. Someone referred to it as an AI sandwich the other day, and they were saying, the prompt's got to be right, and everything you put at the beginning's got to be right, and you've got to check the output. But if there's a lot of legwork and a lot of data in the middle, then AI can really really be your friend. You've been taking some time out and kind of doing some blue sky thinking. Has that given you a chance to look at this fast-moving sector? And when you look at the pace that AI is going at, do you worry that manufacturing's being left behind and not grasping the nettle, or do you think we have got to be a bit pragmatic and then perhaps take a bit more time?
Yeah. So one, I'll say, with the blue skies thinking, if I think about business opportunities right now, especially in industrial software, like AI has to be a core part of the value proposition from the day one. Somehow incorporating that into whatever software you build, because traditional software applications of just reading and writing data, it's been done, right? Like how much innovation can happen there to build something from scratch. So I think that's the first part of it. The second part of it is that if you're looking at incorporating the AI into business processes, then businesses also need to come to terms with the fact that they're going to have to make some investment, right? And how ready these businesses are to make an investment. I would say it has to be both in terms of financial resources as well as a timeline horizon, because if you're expecting to get an ROI in 3 months, I don't think that's going to happen compared to like a longer term outlook. So I don't think they're necessarily being left behind, but don't bury your head in the sand either.
And I think one of the challenges is we're yet to see clarity on who the AI experts are in the industry. So it doesn't feel like we've got like the go-to guys or the go-to organizations that not just understand their process and their domain area, which is fundamentally important because that's the training data, but also understand where AI is really going and can help build that roadmap.
Yeah, well, so it's funny, I had done, this was a while back, but I had done this analysis of just publicly available valuation data of companies. And just by mentioning AI as their primary like marketing message, the valuations multiply like crazy. It's unreal, right? So I think it's have you heard of the Gartner hype cycle curve, right? Like we're at that peak of inflated. What is it? Peak of inflated expectations, right?
But you know what comes next?
Yeah,
it's the valley of disappointment, isn't it?
Yes. So I think
before we get adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's, I'm cautiously optimistic, and it's just you have to be discerning to see, which you should be anyway, in mature technologies and brand new ones. So
and I think you make some really good points. It's about aligning it with your business strategy, solving a problem that you have, not solving a problem that you don't have, and thinking long and hard about whether AI is the right tool to apply, and then applying it very carefully, because once that AI genie is out the bottle, you give it bad data to train on, you've got a pretty dumb AI.
Yeah, well, and I think there's maybe a second part of it is, you just said something that was interesting, is giving it bad data. But I think giving it data, period, is also questionable, right? Because a lot of these contract manufacturers usually work with, trade-controlled products, and what are you going to do when you can't put that stuff in the cloud? Well, you're going to have to come up with a way to manage those data security concerns quite closely.
So there's some big issues. Great stuff. Well, thanks for being here today. I'm sure it was a fascinating session, but thanks for talking to me, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for your time.